Nick Saban, little Nicky there.
I hope we elect to kick ass is what I hope we do.
It's kind of become the, rightfully so, but he's kind of become the, I don't know what you say, just the de facto voice of college football. And I think because he's obviously very accomplished, best to ever do it. He's a red ass, so the old school guys like him, but he's also not a bury my head in the sand and won't evolve red ass. Is embraced spreads and NIL and was paying players even before that. So I think he's a nice mixture of old, new, red ass, but somewhat progressive, and he seems to care about the game.
Yeah, he definitely cares. So he's kind of lobbying. Well, you're right. He has the resume. He's very, very, very well respected. You can't find a more respected guy, really, in the sport. And he is also willing to speak out, and he has been vocal about this for several years now. But it sounds like it's what drove him out of the game to retire. And he's old, but he's,
final straw.
Yeah, exactly. So I think 73. But he seems to be lobbying for any sort of college football commissioner gig if that were to ever come up. But at the same time, I think he's a smart guy. But there's something about me that says if college football ever had a commissioner, do we really want a 73-year-old white guy that spent years in the SEC, who, by the way, was the same guy who wanted to get rid of the hurry-up offense because he couldn't stop it?
Yeah, I see where you're going.
I mean, he's not that progressive, but on this on this topic, he seems to be calling it like it is.
Sure.
And a lot of people agree with him. So here's what he said. He was out. I don't know what he's doing, talking sometimes these coaches, they retire, they go away, you never hear from him again. Nick Saban doesn't stay out of the headlines.
No, and it sounds like he is going to be around. Like he's got an office at Tuscaloosa. He's going to do some college football stuff with ESPN.
That ought to go well.
He's not going to go away.
And he can rake in so much cash still just showing up at appearances, speaking engagements.
Well, he's doing
like
game day.
Yeah.
They put him on.
That's what I'm saying. He's going to be around.
He'll be busy.
He's not going away.
So he said Wednesday that he isn't retired from doing his part to help bring reform and uniformity and common sense to college football.
And by the way, I don't necessarily think that that's any sort of power play. I really do believe that he is a guy that loves
he cares
the sport, and he cares, and I think it can be misguided, but I think it's coming from a good place.
And he cares about the kids.
Yes.
He says, if my voice can bring about some meaningful change, I want to help any way I can because I love the players and I love college football. What we have now is not college football. Not college football as we know it. You hear somebody use the word student athlete, that doesn't exist.
Yes. And that's where I like that he is not one of these idiots. And I'm not just throwing that out there, idiots that are going to try to pretend that the student athlete model is something that that you can go back to. He understands that the cat has left the bag and it is not going back in.
I think he left the barn.
The barn. Yeah. Well, the cat's out of the bag.
Well, the cat was in the bag, but I think the saying is the barn.
Is it?
No, the cat's out of the bag. The hay is in the barn.
Yeah, see, the cat
was... the hay's out of the barn.
Yeah, because the cat was out of the bag.
The horses are out of the barn. The hay is in the barn.
Well, back in the day, it was illegal, I think, to sell pigs. And so people would sell pigs in sacks, and they would snooker you by putting a cat in there and then sell you the pig.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and that's why when the person would take the bag and they would go, and then you would fool them with, they would open it up and it would be a cat, and you're like, aha.
The ruse is up when the cat's out of the bag.
Okay. Cat's out of the bag.
Okay, my bad. Anyway, go ahead.
What was I saying?
I derailed you.
Saban.
Oh, just the idea that, it can't go back to the way it was. It has become a multi-billion-dollar business. Realignment, all this stuff, salaries. Because I hear people all the time that are like, what's wrong with going back to scholarships? Wake up. That Congress has told you that ain't happening. And this is the biggest problem that people are going to have. Almost every suggestion I hear from people to talk about putting constraints on the NCAA and the transfer portal and NIL. I don't know if you're aware, there's 8 million lawsuits going on right now, and the NCAA keeps getting their ass kicked in them. The moment you start trying to put restrictions on what can and can't happen, welcome to the world of lawsuits and antitrust. The entire state of Tennessee and was it Virginia?
So
that are suing the NCAA
yeah.
right
So
now.
the question is what happens now? What does this look like moving forward? And it's really clunky and really hard for a lot of people. And this is what led to Adam Schefter saying the other day that a lot of the college coaches are sniffing around the NFL now. They
Yeah.
just want no part of
Yeah,
what's
they're
happening in
just-
college
yeah,
football.
call me when this all gets settled.
And he said, so Saban said, I'm not really looking for a job, but I do know I would like to impact college football the best way I can, whether it's being a spokesperson or anything else. Listen, I'm for the players. It's not that I'm not for the players. I want to see the players have a great quality of life and be able to create value for themselves. But we've gone to nobody talking about education, nobody talking about creating value for their future, to talking about how much money can I make while I'm in college. I think the consequence of this could come down the road when some of these guys get 28, 29 years old, that maybe they didn't prepare themselves for when they can't play football anymore, which is what you should do when you go to college.
Yeah.
So that's
Again, he's
sensible.
Yes, he's saying that, like, look, we've got to. You can't go back to the olden days, but at the same time, you can't lose the nature of not everyone's going to be a first-round pick, including guys at Alabama.
So he wants to see more sensible dialogue about how to help college football start moving forward, and that we definitely need. He says, one of the trickier issues is how to best compensate players, and Saban reiterated that he is for players earning money based on their name, image, and likeness once they get on campus. He said, but what you have now isn't name, image, and likeness.
Yes.
A collective has nothing to do with NIL.
Nope.
He said he would like to see any player compensation model that is created to be brought in-house at the various schools and taken away from the donor-based collectives. Of course, then there would be Title IX issues.
Yes.
He said people can give money to the university again and get a tax deduction for doing it. And the university, in some kind of way, shares, whether it's share revenue, whether it's buying marketing rights, which is a possibility. You can buy somebody's marketing rights as an institution, and I don't want to, and I don't want to say cap, because that sounds like a salary cap. But find a way for schools to invest the same amount of money in players, just like everybody can invest the same amount in a scholarship. This becomes a part of the scholarship.
Problem with this is, again, going back to antitrust lawsuits, is the moment you tell a player that he can make $1 million on his name, image, and likeness, but not $1.3 million, he's going to simply say, you're not allowed to do that.
You can't deny me my right to make
can't
money.
deny me my right. You can't tell me how much my name, image, and likeness is worth.
Right. But
and
again, this is why I say about Saban, he's not the perfect guy. He's
No.
trying to roll this back.
yes,
He's trying to slow this down.
Yep.
It's not going to be slowed down. It's not going to be rolled back.
Yeah.
It's got to be moved forward.
Yeah.
And that ain't it right there.
No.
I mean, that's him saying, whoa, let's slow down and go back to just name, image, and likeness, and we'll put it in the sky. No, dude.
and again, this is why I appreciate what people are saying. I appreciate the sentiment, but this is the problem, is that the train has already moved past it. Unless you have national legislation, and this is why so many people want Congress to act, but it doesn't sound, everything I've read sounds like you're not going to get this passed. I mean, shocker that our federal government doesn't do many things together, and they don't want to deal with this. So it is, the problem is you have 50 different states right now with 50 different rules on the books for high school to college. One of the rules is simply that you can't pay guys to come to your school. Like that does not work. That is one of the few bylaws we have. And the moment the NCAA tried to enforce that, 2 entire states, including their attorney generals, sued the NCAA. It's like, and once that, if Tennessee and Virginia win that lawsuit, you are basically telling every school and every collective in the country, there is nothing that anyone can do. You can do whatever the hell you want. And so, I mean, I appreciate what Saban's trying to say. I just don't know how you go about doing it unless you turn this into professional sports collectively bargained. And that's the other one that no one wants to do. We say that's awful, but the only way to get sweeping rules in place that don't get your ass sued, where you're going to get yourself handed to in court, is to collectively bargain it. Because I hear people all the time be like, well, what about the NFL as a salary cap? Yes, there's a union that gets together and then bargains with the NFL teams to say, this is the percentage of money we get. You can do that. You can't do it when you won't even acknowledge that your student athletes, quote, are employees and you pay them. So until then, you can't put arbitrary rules. And finally, after 75 years of this, someone got smart and was like, you don't get to have your cake and eat it too. You can't say that this is a $1 billion business where everyone's making money, but the kids, but then put a bunch of arbitrary rule on the kids that cap what they can get. Meanwhile, you can make whatever you want. It just, so we need to be realistic about this. And almost even the great Nick Saban, almost everything I hear won't stand up to courts, and it's not going to be okayed by the powers that be.
He addressed that. This is why I don't think Saban's the best guy. And I think Saban's a smart guy, but dude, again, 73-year-old white guy who spent years in the SEC. Yeah. Is that the guy you want spearheading the new age of college football?
Yeah. You need a group of smart people.
He said, somebody asked him about all the legalities of this, and he said, well, I'm not really well versed on all that. And so he said they would be more he said he was mentioning SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, Alabama Athletic Director Greg Byrne. He said they would be more qualified to serve in a college football commissioner's role than I am. They're in it every day and know all the issues. That's why I'm hesitant to come up with a firm solution, because you don't know the consequences of the solution relative to do we have to pass antitrust laws to be able to do it this way? Yeah. What does that entail? It's one thing to come up with a solution. It's another thing to implement it. I'm just here to help.
Yeah. And this is why
and he could help.
Yes. I would love to see him part of a committee.
Right.
I think you need to go get a couple smart attorneys. I know this is weird, but if you don't know the name Jeffrey Kessler, look it up. He's the main attorney that loves to stick it to the NCAA. He ran the O'Bannon lawsuit. He's got like 9 other. He just sues the NCAA. It's what he does. I would honestly do the whole hire the villain, hire the guy to break into my bank to tell me what the weak spots are. I would go get Jeffrey Kessler. I would go get the guy that sues the NCAA more than anyone else and bring him in to my fold and be like, I want you to help us. You go get Nick Saban. You go get Jeffrey Kessler. Go get Chris Peterson. Go get David Shaw. Go get, was it Anthony Gonzalez, the representative out of Ohio that used to be a receiver at Ohio State. Now he's in Congress. Go get him. Get many people. Go get, like you said, go get Sankey, who's the SEC commissioner and has been for years. If you don't think that guy knows how to be a power broker in college football, go get a variety of people. Go get a really smart business guy. Go get a Mark Cuban type, right? That's been around the world of professional sports. Go get a group of these people. Get an athlete or two. Go get Andrew Luck or Reggie Bush, someone that existed recently in the world of college football that was a big deal, that knows the inner workings of what it meant to be a college athlete and get paid and not get paid. Put those guys in a room and actually start a brainstorm. And then maybe you don't necessarily have a single commissioner, but maybe you have a Portland-esque committee, one guy near the top, and you collectively come up with
what that is?
With something that makes sense.
That's a task force.
A task force. Yes. Because it's going to be hard to get one person over this, because there's just so many entities, and the fact that it's not collectively bargained, that's the biggest draw in this. If the college football world could get together and decide that we are going to unionize, we are going to say there are employees, we're going to have to do this, that would be the easiest way, because at that point you could actually come up with real regulations and rules to put it in place. But until that happens, any solution you come up with is littered with lawsuits and landmines and problems.